Hi guys, I'm Daphne.
All right, and I'm Senna, and welcome to If the Gap Exists, a Formula One channel where we look at the upcoming races and discuss all of the points that us fans are most interested in.
Exactly, because in Formula One, it's never just about the stopwatch. It's about the drama, the chaos, and the questionable and crazy takes us fans find ourselves in.
Yeah, here we're not just reacting to races, we're discussing the opinions of the F1 media, ourselves, and of course, anyone else that loves the sport too. Given the groundbreaking rule changes, as we move towards greener fuels and away from the ground effect era, this season promises to be a very special one.
Yep. So if you're a lifelong fan or someone who is new to the sport, this space is for real conversation, real debate, real insight, and a little bit of friendly shouting here and there. So welcome to episode 1 of If the Gap Exists.
Yeah. So I thought we could kick this off by just introducing ourselves and how this channel came to be. If you'd like to take the lead.
Well, so as I said before, I'm Daphne and I'm sort of a baby in Formula One. I've been in this sport for 5, 6 years now. I fell in love with it because of Lewis. I watched a few episodes of him during this social injustice era, and I just liked what he stood for, which made me go into the sports. And from there, I've never gone back. So I'm a baby in it. How about you?
I've been a Formula One fan for as long as I can remember. I basically grew up on it, watching it every weekend with
Okay.
my parents. That was a long time ago, back in the Schumacher days.
Oh.
And I, yeah, I moved to Ghana and kind of stopped watching, but when I came back to the UK, got right back into it again and been a Lewis fan since 2007. Once he joined, I was a fan. He didn't even have to win his first race. I was already locked in. So
That's
yeah,
fair.
I'm a veteran. I'm a veteran of this sport. So yeah, I've been here. I guess that's 20 years plus now for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. I guess that shows that, if
Uh,
whether you've been in the sports for a long time, whether you're fairly new to it, if you love the sports, you can or if you love cars in general, you can just get into the sport.
exactly, and I think Formula One is it's not an easy sport to get into, but
Hmm.
once you get it and once you're in, you're in. I think you're locked in. So that's one of
Facts.
the reasons I love the sport, as well as obviously the excitement. I love how they go to battle, like it gets so tight, all this like wheel on wheel racing, the drama behind the scenes, and you have shows like Drive to Survive, which really brings that out as well, which just show
Yeah,
another
yeah,
angle and it gives the sport a little bit more depth.
yeah, that's very true. But I mean, we've established that we both love Formula One. Some of us lifelong, some of us fairly new. But can you tell us a bit about what's brought about this channel and as well as the name, how you came up with the name?
Of course. So I just seen lots of channels on football. They're always talking about the same old thing. And I thought there weren't really many to do with Formula One. And I thought I could do that. I like Formula One. I could do that. So got my cousin involved. And here we are. Um, I wanted to come up with a name that I thought would be like one of those ones where it's like, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
So I decided to base it off of a quote by Ayrton Senna, where I think he was being questioned by the media about an overtaken move that he tried to make. It didn't really pay off the way he hoped.
Hmm.
And he essentially said that if the gap exists and you no longer go for it, you're no longer a Formula One
Formula
driver.
One
So
driver.
I thought, yeah, I like that quote. Let me let me make the channel after that, and lo and behold, here we are.
I mean, if you're a fan, if you've been a lifelong fan, you would know definitely where the quote is coming from. But also, even if you're new to it and you've gotten into the sport, you know what Formula One drivers stand for. They always want to take the opportunity when there's a chance, when there's even the littlest of gap, they always want to take it. And we've seen it in the previous seasons with a lot of battles going on between maybe Lewis and even Nico, Lewis and Max, even Russell and Lewis when they were teammates, even last year, Piastri and Norris. So if the gap exists, they are definitely going to take it.
Exactly, words to live by. But you spoke about last season, so let's get into it a little bit. I think last season was quite an interesting one. You had a bit of an inter-team battle. McLaren almost tripped over themselves and allowed Max to come and
Oof.
snatch it all right at the end. That would have been an incredible comeback if he'd actually managed it. I
That's
know
very
we're
true.
both I know we're both Lewis fans here. I'm gonna try and stay neutral, but
Not me
Max
though.
did.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of us has to, so I'll try
Fair,
and do it.
fair.
And I think Max did prove last season why he's regarded as one of the greatest to ever do it, because he had no right to be in that title battle, and out of nowhere, there he was. Every opportunity that was there, he took it, and yeah, I think it was a
I
great
kind of
season.
would disagree with you there. I'm going to disagree with you because I feel like any driver, when the opportunity presents themselves, they're going to take even Russell. But I feel McLaren was the reason that Max got the opportunity to be in the mix, if we're being realistic. Because rather than just being straightforward with your drivers, who's number one, who's number two, they try to go by the papaya rules, try to be fair for everybody, which caused them a lot, especially for Piastri. In the end, Piastri wasn't even second in the championship. He ended up being third. When even before they went on the break, Piastri was ahead. He was number one. So I feel like McLaren was the reason why all of that happened. Not to say Max is not a good driver, but yeah, it's McLaren's fault.
I get what you mean, but I also do think that there are some drivers on the grid that are just a level above the rest, and even in equal machinery, they will beat others. And I think McLaren, or sorry, not McLaren, but Verstappen is of that class where he will get out everything possible from a car. And I guess we're gonna have to agree to disagree here.
I
So
guess.
I'm not gonna push it because you scare me.
Oh no 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 no! But I not to say that Max is not a good driver. He is a good driver. I just don't think that he's when we're talking about people that are great or drivers that are that great, he falls under that category. Because even in the seasons where Mercedes were suffering after the 2021, which we don't talk about, Lewis was
Of
always
course.
pushing. He was doing like he was always in the point and stuff. However, let's move on to this season. The first two races, I don't know what's up with Max. You can't even find him anywhere in the mix. Even today, he had a DNF. So, what does that say?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Red Bull are almost a midfield team right now. It
I
used
mean,
to
the
be the
Alpines
big
and the
four.
Haas.
Yeah,
Oof.
the Alpines and the Haas look very strong, especially Behrman.
Mhm,
And it looks like the Red Bulls are kind of falling into that. They just don't have any pace, it looks like. And
mhm,
they did
mhm.
okay back in the Australian Grand Prix, but then they've come to China and Max can't handle the car, Hajar can't handle the car, and they're really struggling to get anything out of it, get any performance out of it. And the Haas and the Alpines just look a little bit easier to drive, and they're maximizing on the opportunities they're getting.
I
What
feel
did
like
you
even Isaac Hajar is doing much better than I don't know from last week and this week. You know how people usually joke and say the second driver is always cursed at Red Bull. I don't know why I feel like this time is Max because other than the issue with Hajar last week where his car had an engine failure. He was doing better than Max, even this weekend. So I don't know what's up. I don't know if it's because they are producing their own engine in partnership with Ford. I don't know if it's because they switched from Honda. But even with Honda, I feel like Aston Martin isn't even doing better, even though they have
Oh,
Honda
yeah,
engine. So
exactly.
I don't know if it's their own engine that's making them have this issue or the new regs that they are not really comprehending, which I feel like a lot of people don't even understand very well the new regulations. I mean, I thought I did until the races started. I know majority of the engine is between the normal one and then electric. But other than that, I'm not very well versed when it comes to the new regs. I feel like you probably have a better understanding, which you can share with us.
I kind of have a better understanding, but I wouldn't say I'm 100% certain, so I'll give it a go.
Mhm.
Hopefully I get it right. And if I'm making a mistake, someone in the comments, I'm
Should tell
happy
you.
for you to correct me because only God knows what's going on. But here goes. I think now there's supposed to be some kind of power split 50-50 between the internal combustion engine and the battery. Whether that's
Mm,
actually the case, who knows? It's probably more so the engine. And they've got rid of DRS, but you've got straight line mode, which is basically the same as DRS, but everyone gets it all the time. So the
mm.
rear wing opens up as well as the front wing kind of collapses as well. So it just minimizes drag. So that's been a change. On
That's the
top of that,
overtake boost, right?
no,
Oh,
that
okay.
is a whole different thing,
Oh,
which
wow.
is
See,
what
I'm
makes
still
it all
learning.
so confusing. Exactly. So then now you've kind of got this overtake thing where similar to DRS, where if you're within a second of the car ahead at the detection point, you get additional electrical energy that you can deploy.
Mm,
So originally, let's say, for example, they have 100 megajoules of energy in the batteries. Ordinarily, you can only use 90% of that. But
okay.
if you've got the boost, you've got this additional 10% that you can use. But that doesn't mean that your battery's got this additional electrical energy just stored away waiting. So if you're already on 0%, whether you've got boost or not, you don't have any electrical energy, so you're not
Yeah.
going any faster.
Anywhere. Mm,
But the way this boost works is now that you've crossed, let's say it's the start finish line within a second of the car ahead, you can use this boost however you like, wherever you like within this lap. So
okay.
you could decide to use it right at the beginning, right at the end on the longer straights. It's completely up to you. And that right now is kind of what it kind of replaces the DRS.
Okay.
It's all a bit confusing. So what ends up happening is the drivers are having to use the electrical energy quite tactically in
Hmm.
order to, I guess, have enough energy to defend themselves, have enough energy to attack. And it kind of means when they're overtaking, a lot of the time you just blast past the other person because they've just saved enough electrical energy to go ahead and the other person doesn't have enough to defend with. So the overtaking doesn't seem as natural as it has in the past.
Yeah.
But given that the aerodynamics this year are so different to previous years, the cars can actually follow each other. And in that regard, you do get better overtaking or more overtaking opportunities, I should say.
Mm, okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it's all very confusing. But I mean, we're 2 races in. How have you found them, the new regulations and the
Um,
driving that's come with it?
I feel like the drivers or even the teams are still, in as much as they've built the car to these new regs, they are still trying to. Oh my God, I love your mug, by the way. But yeah, I think they are still trying to understand the rules or trying to understand the effects. of the rules on the cars they've built. Because we've been in two races, but can you believe we've not had 22 cars on the tracks yet? Like in any
Yeah,
of the two races. Last week we had, I think, 19. This week we had about four cars out, two McLaren, one then we had Albon out, then Bortoleto
that's just at the start. I
at
think
the
we
start. They
ended
didn't
the
even
race with
start
like about 15 or 16 cars. And also, funnily enough, Oscar Piastri hasn't raced a single lap this season.
at all. He hasn't,
Not
which is
at all.
sad.
He hasn't raced the Formula One car this season, which is
I mean,
incredible.
other than the sprints, I think he hasn't raced in an actual race, which,
Yeah.
oh my God, every day he has an issue. He got to the start. Yeah, last week they were going to the grid and then the power just went off, so he had to retire. This time he was moving to the lines and they had to take him out. Like, I don't understand what's going on. Norris was in the pit lane, he was supposed to start from there. Suddenly we see him out of the car. They said it seems to be something with the engine. And then we had the two
Yeah.
Aston Martins out of the race. I don't know.
Aston
More and
Martins
more
at this
retiring.
time, they're not even a real team though, because this Honda engine. I mean, what were they saying before the season really got underway? Fernando Alonso said that he can only race about 25 laps before he has to retire because of all the vibrations. Lance Stroll said 15. So they're basically a non-entity. They go out to drive around in circles, and it's all testing for them. I
Which is a
think
bit disappointing if you're being very honest, because people were expecting Adrian to do something coming from Red Bull, but
exactly. And on top of that, they've got the best facilities out of all of the teams, at least the newest facilities out of all the teams.
Mhm.
They picked up lots of like top talent from Mercedes and Red Bull and the other surrounding teams. So you'd think that they would not challenge the top, but definitely be in the midfield, in the contention, picking up points here and there. They've got Honda all to themselves. You would have thought they would have built a close relationship with Honda and they'd hit the ground running, and that just hasn't been the case. It's been very apparent from even as far back as testing that they just they're just nowhere to be seen. So
yeah,
at the moment, they're a non-entity, but hopefully that changes as we get further along into the season.
yeah. So I was thinking, can we talk about how insane the stats have been? Because once the rules were in place before the season began, there were a bit of changes with the start. We had to have the pre-start in place. I mean, Ferrari got that perfectly done. And last season, when the new rules were there, they tried to complain about the start, but all the other teams were not for it. In some way, somehow, they built their car with smaller turbos to fit the start. And now everybody's complaining. So we now have like these pre-starts, which honestly, I'm not a fan of, but yeah, how do you feel about this whole pre-start and the start of the race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a fan as well. I agree with you. I think they're all paid a lot of money. These engineers are all very smart. Ferrari saw an issue and like in like proper sportsmanship, they actually told the whole grid that there's gonna
Yeah.
be an issue. And I guess no one took them seriously. Ferrari did what they needed to do to make sure that this wouldn't be an issue for them. And
Hmm. Hmm.
I personally think that the rest of the teams should just have to live with it. I think this whole pre-start thing, I feel like you're just allowing these teams to get away with not understanding the rules properly. Even
Yeah.
if this wasn't the intention for the rules, I think that these are the rules that we've got. So therefore, you need to work within that. And I guess the other teams aren't really doing that, um, which is a shame. But either way, Ferrari are still getting the best starts. We've seen what
Yeah.
they did in Australia. We saw it in at the sprint in China, and then for the Grand Prix in China as well. They're having incredible starts. Mercedes are getting a little bit better. No, Verstappen kind of bogged down. So there's a bit of a mixed bag, but I think it makes it a bit exciting as well. So I'm a fan of like some teams being able to get the starts all right, some teams
Yeah,
struggling a bit. Because you know, as time goes on, eventually they will all converge. Everyone will be able to do it all right. But at least it adds a little bit of excitement for the first lap or so. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, even with the pre-start, Ferrari is doing exceptionally well with the start. See how they zoom past everyone. Even Lewis, like he zoomed past, and then he was in the lead for the first seven or so laps. But then, I mean, the Mercedes engine should be illegal because they were able to catch up. And, I feel like this season, Ferrari and Mercedes are way ahead of every team. However, Mercedes is on a different level because getting to the end of the race, in as much as there was a bit of battling between Lewis, then George, and then obviously Charles, when Russell was able to bypass Lewis, he was now getting to the end of the race. He was about 25 seconds way ahead of the Ferraris. And then Ferraris, which was Charles at the end, was 16 seconds behind, I mean, ahead of Behrman. But that should tell you how powerful the Mercedes engine is because whoosh, that was something else.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It is crazy how big the advantage they seem to have.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
then you look at it, and then you also look at in the corners, Ferrari seems to be the best.
Faster, yeah.
So it's all swings and roundabouts. You feel like maybe at certain tracks it will come back to Ferrari a bit more. I mean, the next race is Japan, so Japan doesn't have as many long straights. You've
Streets,
got
yeah.
the back straight, but then most of the race is corner after corner. So maybe it'll be a bit closer. I think even for the neutrals, we want to see it being actual battle between the two teams. Because what tends to
Hmm.
happen so far is they battle for about, yeah, 5, 6 laps. Then the Mercedes just pulls away because they've just got that much of an
Speed
advantage.
on the
And
straight, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But to tackle the speed difference on the straight, Ferrari have that Macarena wing, you know, the back wing that kind of flips on itself.
I've not seen what it
And
can do yet, though. Oh God, I'm still waiting to see what it
well,
can
they
do.
actually they did bring it to practice in China.
Hmm.
And if I remember correctly, they ended up being was it about 5 kilometers an hour faster than everyone else on the straight because of it.
Okay.
The reason that they haven't actually used it in any kind of competitive um, situation so far is to do with reliability. They're not sure if it's reliable enough just yet because I guess when it's going at that kind of speed every lap, there's a lot of load that goes into it, and I think they just need to stress test it a little bit more. And
Mm,
maybe we'll see it in Japan. Who knows? We've got 2 weeks until that race,
yeah.
and then like as some races have been cancelled, we've got a month until the next one. So hopefully we can see that come back and it will be more of a battle. As much as we're not seeing too much of a battle up front, it seems to be always Mercedes 1, 2, then Ferrari 3, 4. At least in the midfield is very tight. You don't know what's
That's
going
true.
to happen
That's what
every
I was gonna
race.
say.
That exactly, great minds think alike because what's going on in the midfield, it just seems like absolute carnage. They're overtaking each other left, right, and center. You don't know if it's going to be Haas. You don't know if it's going to be Alpine. You
Yep.
don't know if it's going to be the Racing Bulls. Even the Red Bulls are kind of falling into that as well. It's you don't know what's going on in the
Hmm.
midfield, and I
Hmm.
love it because yeah, it just increases the drama. That's like
Yeah.
obviously the TVs are and the cameras are always showing the front, But then when it pans back to the midfield, you see one person going off, another person spinning, another person crashing
Yeah,
into
yeah.
someone. Yeah, I just love the carnage there. So as much as it's a
I
bit
feel like
boring up
when
front
it
at the
comes to
moment, I
the
am enjoying it.
I feel like when it comes to the midfields, we could say maybe Haas and Alpine are the ones at the top of it. I mean, obviously we can't count out Red Bull yet, but so far I would say Haas and Alpine because they've been battling a lot even today, and I feel like was it him? Ocon deserved that penalty that was given to him with his clash with Colapinto.
Yeah,
That
he
was a
ruined
bit sad.
Colapinto's race.
Hmm.
It is what it is. So hopefully Colapinto can just brush that off and then have a good race next week. Not next week, but next race. Because
Next
I
race,
do really
yeah.
like Colapinto. The way he
Hmm.
drives is all aggressive, all action. And when he had that little stint at Williams, he did well. I know
Yeah.
last season he really struggles at Alpine, which I personally don't think is any fault of his own, especially as they brought him in after maybe like five races. So he didn't even get to do like testing with the car.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's always a difficult position to come in when the season's
Yeah.
already started. But China, he looked strong in China, so hopefully that continues, and hopefully we get a
Yeah.
proper battle between the Alpines and the Haas.
It does. I mean, I'm also glad at least in as much as his race was almost ruined, he finished in the point. One other battle
And
I also kind of enjoyed was, Gasly and Max. That was also a bit of a heart-moving moment. Even Gasly ended up complaining that, oh my God, Max caused an issue, but I think they noted that and he didn't get any, but he didn't get any penalty or anything. Another one was also I cannot believe Sergio and Bottas. I don't know what's up with them. They also crashed or they had contact at least, which resulted in Perez getting that penalty, that 5 second penalty. But in my mind, I'm like, your teammate, I don't even know what's up with that. I think last week too, there was a bit of contact, and this time I get that they are getting used to this whole Cadillac car and the engine, but that was also another incident. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I feel like when your car is the slowest on the track, by it's slowest by a fair bit, you've got no one else to really battle with or race hard. So all you can do is make sure you beat your teammates. And I feel like that's what's causing the issue there because Perez is just desperate to get ahead of Bottas. And I guess he made a mistake and suffered the consequences for it.
Yeah.
I also feel like that was kind of the case with the battle between Lewis and Charles because they can't catch Mercedes, but at the same time, there's no one behind them that can catch them. So now the two of them are going hard at each other because these are the only guys they need to beat.
Mm.
And I mean, to be fair, it sounds like Lewis and Charles both actually enjoyed battling each other. For me, and I imagine for lots of other fans, it was stressful. It looked like they were about to crash every single time. And yeah, my heart was
Yep,
in my
yep,
mouth.
yep. I honestly I couldn't take it. I was like, come on, guys. But it was clean, but it was also very tight, which makes me think like, do you think Ferrari should be battling the way they do? I get it that there's no one in the front to battle with, there's no one behind to, but I get that they want them to feel loose more and enjoy themselves on the track. But in the long run, do we think it's going to be good for the team? Because in as much as it's fun to watch, they could come into contact one day or another. Don't you think so? So do you think they should have some rules in place, or do you think it's okay for them to be battling the way they are battling?
I'd rather there aren't rules because when you start getting rules, you end up with the same kind of situation that we had with the two
Mm,
McLarens last year.
mm, mm,
Charles and Lewis are both historically very clean drivers. They always battle their teammates hard but fair. They battle other drivers hard but fair. So I imagine that will stay the same. The two of them seem to have very high respect for one another. So I can't imagine it will get dirty, or at least not intentionally. I'm sure that if there is contact in the future, certain things will be said on the radio in the heat of the moment that will be a bit unsavory.
I mean, we got that
But
yesterday with
yeah,
Giles, but yeah.
but I'm sure that once like the adrenaline has worn off, the pressure has cooled a little, they both look back at it and be like, yeah, that was actually fun. Like that was fine.
Mm.
Unless it gets to a situation where the Ferrari team or drivers can win a championship and the two of them are taking each other out, that's when obviously I imagine that the team will step in and be like, no, from now on, you guys can't race each other. But
Yeah.
until that happens, I'm sure that Fred Vasseur will just let them keep on going because it's good for the sport to see these kind of battles. And they're both competitors. Neither one of them wants to lose out to the other. So, yeah, long
That's
may it
fair.
continue.
That's fair. I think one thing from this race too that we can highlight is, Kimi winning his first race from podium. He won. And I think he did an exceptional job today. I almost voted for him for my driver of the day, but he did a very good job today. I think when there were 3 laps to go at 10:14, he had a bit of a lock up there. I don't know if it was out
I
of
was scared for
nerves.
him. Yeah, I was
I
a
don't
bit
know if it was
scared for
out
him.
of nerves, yeah, or if it was just maybe his tires giving up. But I also, my heart jumped. I was like, come on, 3 more laps to go. Let's keep it cool. And at the end of the day, he was ahead of George about 7 seconds or so. And I didn't think George would catch up, but the lockup gave me a bit of a jump scare, and I was very happy for him. I mean, they said an Italian hasn't won in 20 years, so it was
Yeah,
beautiful
I think it's
seeing that.
Giancarlo Fisichella, I think you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, it was very beautiful seeing that he cried. It was emotional for him and all that. But I didn't like, Russell's message on the radio. It sounded a bit, salty. I don't know if I feel that way,
Yeah.
but his congratulations was. I was expecting him to be excited for his teammate. I get it that he didn't win, but come on, it is what it is anyway. I think Kimi did an exceptional job today, so I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, and I agree because Antonelli, once he got out in the lead and broke away from Hamilton,
Hmm.
he was solid. He put in the good laps. And even when Russell got through, whenever Russell put in the fastest lap, Antonelli was able to respond. Even
Yeah.
after he had his little lockup, he lost like a second and a half.
Hmm.
Within a lap or two, he pulled that second and a half back.
Yeah.
So it didn't seem to phase him too much. He didn't panic some more and make more mistakes. He just kept on going, kept on doing what needed to be done.
Mm.
And yeah, he definitely deserved to win. I knew he would win this season. I wasn't expecting it to be this quick. I thought Russell would
Early.
dominate, but yeah, I'm glad to see that it's not all going one way at the front. Things are still getting mixed up a little bit. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
exciting
what
times
Toto
ahead.
said about him, about Kimi, is actually, I mean, he is someone that we should look out for. He's a young driver. He has a lot of potential, and I believe that he will definitely go ahead to do a lot of great things. I mean, someone who didn't even go through Formula 3, that should tell you how much potential he has. People didn't want him to be signed because he doesn't have any experience, but I think he's proven that he is good. I mean, the car plays a very good role, but I think even with last season, he showed us that when there's potential, he takes advantage of it, and he did that this race as well. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, I'm a Lewis fan, and I will always want Lewis to be ahead, but it was exciting to see Kimi take the lead and then dominate from there. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, he's filling in some massive shoes. He's coming in
Hmm.
replacing Hamilton. So there's a lot of pressure on him.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think the pressure just ramps up when the car is as good as it is right now, as
Yeah.
dominant as
Yeah.
it is. You have to perform. And every single start, whether it's the Australian Grand Prix, the sprint, the the Grand Prix, the main Grand Prix for China, he's always gone backwards, and that kind of thing will play, like, it will be playing on your mind as
Hmm.
the race is going, as you're even pulling up to start the race, and it can be very tough on the driver. But then, even without his experience, he managed to get over that, come back at Lewis, take the lead, and yeah, it was smooth sailing from there.
Yeah, yeah. I had a lot of fun today. It was early in the morning, but oof, I enjoyed it. So yeah, as we're waiting for next race, which is in 2 weeks in Japan, I know you want to do this, so let's hear your prediction for that race.
Okay, fine. I still think I still think Mercedes is a bit too far ahead.
Mm,
Um, I think that the Ferrari team will be closer though, because you don't have as many long straights as you do in Australia or in China. You've just got the one straight leading up to 130R, then you've got the pit straight, which isn't even that long.
mm,
Other than that, it's a lot of curves, a lot of turns. Um, it's not the fastest going through that sector 1 and 2 of the track. So I think Ferrari will be closer. But I do think that because of that last straight, the Mercedes will just be ahead. But I think it will be very tight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I know I always struggle to get you to come up with a prediction, but today I'm going to
but you haven't
insist.
given yours either, so I waited for yours before I
Okay,
give
fine.
mine.
I'll say it with my chest. I'll say Antonelli win, Hamilton second, Ross ooh, and I'll say Leclerc third.
Okay.
I
I
think
would
Russell doesn't get
say,
on the podium.
really? Huh. Between
I
he and
I think
Charles, I think he would. But anyway, that's yours. For mine, I think Lewis, obviously, seen as the track will be to his advantage. Lewis first, George second, then Kimi third. That's my
okay.
prediction.
I mean, of course, we're just going Ferrari and Mercedes because I think they're so far ahead of everyone else
I know,
that
right?
I
Maybe
can't really
McLaren will
see anyone
surprise
get.
us. They'll get into the mix.
Maybe. I mean, McLaren, they're good in a straight line because they have the Mercedes engine,
Hmm.
but then they don't seem to be as good in the corners. So who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, overtaking has never really been that easy at Japan. So if you can get a good start, it might be a little bit easier to hold on to the position.
Yeah.
But given this new era of batteries, who knows if that's still going to be the case? I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I think everyone else, let us know in the comments who you think is going to be the top three. If
Yeah.
you think there's going to be any dark horse, any surprises. I think obviously Aston Martin aren't going to finish the race, so yeah, no one should even talk about that.
Maybe Cadillac as well might not finish. Those two seem to
I
be
think
at
it'll
the
be
bottom.
Yeah, it'll be a bigger surprise. It'll be a bigger surprise if Aston Martin actually finish a race. I think that would be the shock of the race. No matter what else happens, Aston Martin finish a race, that would be the shock of the race for sure.
I guess so. That is true. See, you guys, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until then,
Yes,
this
all
has
the
been
good stuff.
If the Gap Exists.